Right now, lease a BMW X3 for as low as $479 a month.
Good morning, America. Breaking news. Bombshell new allegations about President Trump's personal attorney, Michael Cohen. The company he used to pay off Stormy Daniels allegedly received $500,000 in payments from a company tied to a Russian billionaire. The porn star's lawyer making explosive claims. He's here live this morning.
Also breaking right now, high-stakes meeting. The Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, landing in North Korea. Will he bring back those 3 detained Americans? This as reaction continues over President Trump's decision to tear up the Iran nuclear deal. Iranians burning the American flag overnight.
Terrifying evacuation. Smoke filling the cabin of this Delta plane overnight.
Evacuate, evacuate.
Passengers taking cover, scrambling out the exit, even huddling on the wing.
Roseanne takes on racism.
What if this is a sleeper cell full of terrorists getting ready to blow up our neighborhood?
The provocative episode confronting prejudice against Muslims and why Roseanne says she's not stopping there.
Baby, now we got bad blood.
And no more bad blood. Taylor Swift and Katy Perry calling it quits on one of pop's biggest feuds. Katy sending Taylor an actual olive branch just before this huge performance. What Taylor is saying about it now.
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
Good morning, America. Get all the bad blood out of the way on this Wednesday, as we like to say, hump day. We have lots of breaking news to get to this morning.
We do. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo is in North Korea right now. Those are pictures of his previous meeting with Kim Jong-un, the North Korean dictator. But right now, the big questions on the table: will he bring those American prisoners home? Will he announce the date and time of that summit for President Trump?
We'll talk more about that in a moment. But first, let's get right to that new allegation that President Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, received $500,000 in payments from a firm reportedly linked to a Russian billionaire with close ties to the Kremlin. That claim made by Stormy Daniels' attorney, Michael Avenatti. He's going to join us live in a moment to talk with George. But first, let's go to our chief justice correspondent, Pierre Thomas, has the latest. Good morning, Pierre.
Robin, good morning. That's right. Stormy Daniels' attorney today is saying follow the money, and is claiming that Michael Cohen received hundreds of thousands of dollars from a company tied to a Russian billionaire with links to Putin.
It's a stormy day.
This morning, attorney Michael Avenatti waging a public campaign against Donald Trump, alleging a connection between an ally of Vladimir Putin and Michael Cohen, President Trump's former personal attorney. Avenatti releasing a document that his firm prepared, claiming that a company called Columbus Nova transferred $500,000 in installments to a bank account maintained by Cohen. The American-owned firm has ties to a company controlled by Russian oligarch Viktor Vekselberg.
Mr. Vekselberg has had long, very large investments in Russia, in the energy sector, and he is therefore very close and beholden to the government.
According to Avenatti, Columbus Nova made a series of 8 payments in 2017 to a holding company established by Cohen known as Essential Consultants. Cohen used Essential Consultants to negotiate a hush agreement with porn star Stormy Daniels just before the 2016 election. The New York Times reported earlier this year that special counsel Robert Mueller's team has interviewed Vekselberg. But an attorney with Columbus Nova said last night that the company's ownership is entirely American, and that Vekselberg had nothing to do with its business with Cohen. According to Avenatti's memo, unconfirmed by ABC News, Essential Consultants received a total of $4.4 million, including wire transfers from a number of major corporations doing business inside the United States. Among them, AT&T, which wired Cohen payments totaling $200,000. Last night, AT&T, which has a major merger with Time Warner pending that's being challenged by the Justice Department, did not dispute the transaction, saying, Essential Consultants was one of several firms we engaged in early 2017 to provide insights into understanding the new administration. They did no legal or lobbying work for us, and the contract ended in December 2017. Cohen, whose home and offices have been recently raided by the FBI, has not been charged with any crime. Both he and his attorney did not respond to ABC News' request for comment on Avenatti's claims. Throughout Mueller's investigation, they have maintained that Cohen has done nothing improper.
It's unclear exactly how Avenatti got access to those banking records, but he's maintaining that they are authentic and deserving of investigation by prosecutors. George?
Okay, Pierre, let's start there with Michael Avenatti. He joins us right now. So there's been some speculation that your records, that the documents you produced were based on suspicious activity reports at the Treasury Department. Is that how you got them?
I'm not going to get into how we got the information, but what I will say is, George, we stand behind it 100%. As of this morning, the New York Times has confirmed the accuracy of what we released. NBC has confirmed the accuracy of what we released, and I think there's been one or two other independent news organizations that have independently referred or confirmed what we released in the report. We stand behind it 100%. There's no question it's accurate. And let me just say this, George, to the extent it's not accurate, Michael Cohen and the president can clear this up this morning very easily. Michael Cohen should release the bank statements from this account, this single account, from October of 16 until April of this year, so he can disclose to the American people what money was received or not received.
Let's take what's been confirmed, though. AT&T has confirmed the payments. Novartis has confirmed the payments. Columbus Nova has confirmed the payments, although they said it had nothing to do with Russia. What is illegal about that? Michael Cohen, attorney for the president, close to the president, sets up a firm in Washington, D.C., gives strategic consulting advice. What's wrong with that?
Well, wait a minute. We don't know what advice he was giving. Here's what we do know. Each company has given a different reason for retaining Michael Cohen. Real estate, business consulting, healthcare consulting, the list goes on and on. Michael Cohen.
But nothing wrong with any of that, correct?
Maybe there may in fact be something wrong with it.
What would that be?
For the following reason. He's not a registered lobbyist. He hasn't made required disclosures relating to lobbying activities. Depending on the fact, or if
AT&T said he wasn't lobbying. They didn't hire him to lobby.
Well, what'd they hire him for then? It's unclear, right? Clearly, it's unclear. In fact, the more you dig, the more stories we hear from these companies. Here's the other problem. If he's taking money from a foreign national, that could pose a significant legal problem for him as it relates to taking dollars from overseas companies, et cetera. So we don't know where this ends, but it doesn't smell right, George.
You said could right there. What we heard there from Vexelberg and from Columbus Nova is that he did not have anything to do with the hiring of Michael Cohen. This was not his money.
All right. Well,
any evidence to the contrary?
Yeah, we have significant evidence to the contrary. And let me say this. We haven't released all the evidence that we have. I think any claim by Columbus that they have no ties to Renova,
no ties to the hiring of Michael Cohen.
Well, no, but they also tried to claim last night that they had no ties to Renova, that they're a completely separate company, unaffiliated. We know that's not true. I think there's 45 SEC filings where the two companies are linked. George, look. Something doesn't smell right. And if it's above board and there's no improper conduct, Michael Cohen should release the bank statements and the bank records for the American people to see. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. But, George, we're not wrong.
In your first tweet yesterday, you also raised the possibility that these Columbus Nova payments were somehow reimbursement for the Stormy Daniels payment. That's speculation, correct?
No, I don't think it's speculation. I think that there's a substantial basis for assuming that to be the case.
But what is that? What's the evidence?
I'll tell you the substantial basis, among other things. First of all, you have the payment to Stormy Daniels on October 27th of 2016. To the best of our knowledge, there was very little, if any, income that came into that account before the first Nova payment or deposit in January of 2017.
Yeah, but the intervening event, here's the counter possibility. The intervening event is the election of President Trump. Michael Cohen sees a business opportunity there. That could easily have nothing at all to do with the Stormy Daniels payments.
Let them disclose the records, George. I mean, they have the records in their possession. If there's nothing to hide, then why do they continue to hide this information, hide the involvement? I mean, look. The president ran on this campaign of draining the swamp, that lobbyists were not going to be involved, special interests were not going to be involved, et cetera. Now you have the right hand of the president, right hand of Mr. Trump, in January of 2017, all of a sudden starts taking all of this money from all of these multinational corporations for God knows what. And the American people deserve to know what it was for.
But right now you can't say what it was for and you have no evidence of a crime?
Well, it's not our job to prosecute Michael Cohen or Mr. Trump. We have been about a search for the truth. That's what we're going to continue to do.
Michael Avenatti, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Michael?
All right, thank you, George. Now to that breaking news. President Trump's Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo, landing in North Korea for his high-stakes meetings ahead of the president's planned summit with Kim Jong-un. Our Chief Global Affairs Correspondent, Martha Raddatz, is here with the latest. And Martha, everyone's watching to see what happened to those American detainees.
Exactly. All eyes on those detainees. Mike Pompeo meeting with senior leadership in North Korea. That last trip, as we recall, he met with Kim Jong-un. But those 3 detainees, 2 of those detainees taken last year, and the third a year before that. We have to see whether they're going to be released. We've heard President Trump talk about this, saying stay tuned. But Mike Pompeo is also talking about the time and place of that summit. We still don't know those details, although we think it will be on the DMZ. Mike Pompeo this morning saying, for decades we've been adversaries. Now we are hopeful that we can work together to resolve this conflict. A long way from those fire and fury comments, huh, Michael?
Absolutely. A lot less contentious, I think, than most of us expected.
Certainly is.
All right, thank you so much, Martha. Robin?
All right, Michael, thank you. Always good to see you, Martha. Thank you. The Secretary of State's trip to North Korea, as we know, coming on the heels of President Trump's decision to withdraw from the Iran nuclear deal, tearing up an agreement that was supposed to prevent Iran from getting nuclear weapons. Our senior White House correspondent, Cecilia Vega, tracking the reaction to all that. Good morning, Cecilia.
Robin, good morning to you. A lot of reaction to this one. Our closest allies lobbied President Trump hard right up until the last minute, essentially imploring him not to tear up this deal. Despite that, he did. He says he is making good on a campaign promise. Overnight, Iranian lawmakers in parliament burning a paper American flag after President Trump declared the U.S. is pulling out of that Iranian nuclear deal.
This was a horrible, one-sided deal that should have never, ever been made.
Around the world, the outrage was immediate. Former President Obama, who negotiated the deal, coming off the sidelines with a scathing public statement, calling President Trump's announcement so misguided, a serious mistake, and warning the United States could eventually be left with a losing choice between a nuclear-armed Iran or another war in the Middle East. And he added this dig, saying he hopes Americans support strong, principled, fact-based, and unifying leadership. With the stroke of a pen, President Trump unraveling his predecessor's signature foreign policy achievement.
The United States no longer makes empty threats. When I make promises, I keep them.
Declaring he is reimposing tough sanctions, not just on Iran, but also on foreign companies doing business there, including our European allies. And he issued this threat.
If the regime continues its nuclear aspirations, it will have bigger problems than it has ever had before.
The move causing a major split with Britain, France, and Germany, those close allies banding together and in a show of force saying the deal makes the world a safer place and that they have regret and concern about the American withdrawal, vowing to stay in the deal. This as Iran is now suggesting it could be free to restart its nuclear program. Yeah, overnight, the Iranian parliament was also shouting death to America. But the international reaction, it's not all negative. Israel, the Saudis, some Republicans here at home are cheering on President Trump for this move. But, George, as you know, the fallout on this one is really only just beginning.
That is for sure. Okay, Cecilia, thanks very much. We're going to move on now to those primary races yesterday, setting the stage for November's midterms. The GOP put forward their 3 strongest candidates for Senate in Ohio, Indiana, and West Virginia, where convicted coal baron Don Blankenship came up short after President Trump came out against his candidacy. Our chief national affairs correspondent spoke to Blankenship last night. Tom Yamas joins us now from Charleston, West Virginia. Good morning, Tom.
George, good morning to you. Don Blankenship said he was Trumpier than Trump, but the feeling wasn't mutual. On Twitter, President Trump telling voters here in West Virginia not to vote for him. Blankenship telling me that tweet torpedoed his campaign.
Republican leaders avoiding what they feared could be a catastrophe. Coal baron Don Blankenship losing in the West Virginia Senate primary.
Right now, it doesn't look good.
Overnight, Blankenship conceding. He ran as an outsider, taking on the establishment, including Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell.
One of my goals as U.S. Senator will be to ditch Cocaine Mitch. When you vote for me, you're voting for the sake of the kids.
The Cocaine Mitch reference, a claim that a ship connected to Mr. McConnell's father-in-law was found with smuggled drugs. Post-election, McConnell firing back with this humorous tweet. McConnell reimagined as Pablo Escobar for the TV show Narcos with the message, "Thanks for playing, Don." Blankenship had also been accused of race baiting when he attacked McConnell's wife, Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao, in another campaign ad.
Swamp Captain Mitch McConnell has created millions of jobs for China people. While doing so, Mitch has gotten rich. In fact, his China family has given him tens of millions of dollars.
During ABC's live digital coverage, I asked him about his use of the phrase China people and how some Asian Americans were offended. But why not apologize?
Well, I do apologize to anybody that's legitimately offended, but I don't believe that the politicians are legitimately offended.
Now, Blankenship did win in one way. His parole ended yesterday. He served a year in prison in connection with that mine explosion where 29 miners died. Throughout this campaign, Blankenship blamed the federal government for that accident. Come November, Senator Joe Manchin, the incumbent, the Democrat, will take on the Republican here, Patrick Morrissey. George?
Yeah, and Republicans have some hope to mount a strong challenge there to Manchin. Also in Indiana, deep red state, and a Democrat on the ballot there against the Republican who won yesterday.
Yeah, this was another big headline last night, especially for Republicans. Mike Braun, he ran against two congressmen in Indiana, and he actually carried around cardboard cutouts of the two congressmen, asking voters if they could tell the difference. In that case, there in Indiana, Republican voters chose the outsider, Mike Braun, who will be facing off in November in that Senate race. George?
Right. Up against Senator Joe Donnelly. Okay, Tom, thanks very much. Michael?
All right, George. Now, the new concerns about that volcano emergency in Hawaii. Two more cracks opening up, spewing lava, and those toxic fumes spreading. ABC's Kanan Whitworth is there on Hawaii's Big Island. And Kanan, some of those cracks are now opening up on major highways.
Yeah, Michael, that's right. And they're only getting wider. It was a really scary day for residents yesterday because many of them were allowed back in to gather belongings. And that's when two new cracks in the earth opened up, spewing lava, sending some people running from the area. So right now we have a total of 14 fissures, destroying nearly 40 homes. We lost another one last night. They are under almost more than 140 acres of lava. And those are incredible numbers here. It's also creating new air quality concerns because each time a new fissure opens up, it sends that sulfur dioxide into the air. And right now, it looks like the activity is marching west, and that's what's creating those new cracks in major highways. Michael?
And Kanan, we're looking at those images, and it makes you wonder, how will they ever be able to clean up after all of this?
I know, Michael, it's really interesting. So in some cases, I actually saw lava rock piled about 40 feet high in those neighborhoods. So in that case, they would actually have to blast the lava rock away and then bulldoze it. But some experts told me a lot of times it's actually easier for them to just pave new roads right over that lava rock. These lava flows really become a permanent fixture of this island. Michael?
All right, thank you so much, Kanan. Wow, you never think about that part.
Long road ahead of them.
Yeah.
Okay, Michael. Now to Ginger with flooding and evacuations in Montana and severe weather today for the Midwest, Ginger?
Yes, indeed. Mandatory evacuations in parts of Montana. Missoula County, we're seeing some of those aerial images. So much water, and it's not done going yet. So it's going to keep rising in some of the rivers. Some of the crests now they've pushed to the weekend, so they can see some of the worst flooding in nearly 40 years. Then that severe storm forecast takes you right into southwest Michigan, including Kalamazoo and South Bend in Indiana there, down to Indianapolis, back into central Illinois. So something to watch for, damaging winds especially. Your local weather in 30 seconds. First, though, the hot cities, sponsored by Kay Jewelers.
At Kay Jewelers, we know a mother's love is unconditional. Good thing, too. Because you guys did some messed up stuff when you were kids. So this Mother's Day, go to Kay, where everything is 30% off, May 3rd through the 13th. Like these gorgeous styles Mom is gonna love. Now that you're all grown up, thank Mom for her unconditional love with an unforgettable gift from Kay. Because, like, you know what you did.
Tracking some higher temperatures this week and especially the weekend, and even some rain coming our way for your Thursday. So today is going to be dry, nice, filled with sunshine, a little higher temperatures than yesterday, but still comfortable. Tomorrow, expect some clouds early in the day, even some fog, with the best chance of showers and maybe even a thunderstorm between 2 and 6 p.m. We'll dry it out for Friday, the high 82. For Mother's Day, 90 degrees with mostly cloudy skies and some showers coming in, I think, during the afternoon hours. Not a bad weekend, though.
Coming up, we have a possible serial killer revealed. A cold case goes hot in Michigan. What police are searching for in these woods.
And Roseanne hits a nerve taking on bias against Muslims. The reaction this morning and what the star has planned next. She says she's ready to take on every sacred cow in the country. It's coming up here on GMA.
Today,